There we go. I think we have ourselves a live stream, and the guest is already here. Hi, Pia.
Hi, Joel. Thanks for having me.
This is Pia Harlaß. Harlaß.
That was quite good, yeah.
Did I get it? Okay.
Thanks.
You actually saw Pia on the channel before when we toured the DyeMansion booth at Formnext in the before time.
That's true. 2 years ago, right?
It's been 2 years, and I just have to tell you, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too, live and in color. That's really nice.
That's right, finally
Yeah.
live and finally in color. We had to adjust. The lights here are kind of green a little bit. Have you been taking pictures with your phone or anything?
No, I didn't.
You don't have time for that, do you? So I'd like to know, what has been going on with DyeMansion in the last 2 years?
Hi, we also had quite a hard time not seeing our customers, not showing our systems physically, but now we're super happy to be here as well. So yeah, it's really cool to have the systems here. And what did we do over the last 2 years? So we developed some new technology.
Really?
We had time in our cellar. We developed quite some cool things. I can show you some of those.
Yeah, well, you have awesome stuff to show. And I know, just as a refresher for everybody out there, DyeMansion is a company that allows 3D printed parts to have a color and a finish and be a final product. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's good.
So I know it's a simplification of what you do.
But that's true. So we turn parts as they come out of the printer, and we turn them into end-use products.
That's right. So now, we saw a lot of stuff back at Formnext, and this is new stuff to see, right?
It is. So you might know PP, polypropylene. I think it's the most used plastics in the world. And
isn't it used just because of the material properties? It can bend and not break and be pliable.
Yeah, that's true. And in the meantime, during the pandemic, we found and developed a solvent for our power fuse, which is working for those PP parts. So they won't look this anymore. In the future, they can also be quite smooth and sealed.
Oh, so this is right out of the powder bed.
Yeah. This is, I think it's printed on an HP machine with BASF PP, and this is how it comes out. And this is after we vapor polished it.
It is a vapor polish.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And obviously you developed the machines and the process to do this, right? Can you give us a little bit of a high level overview of how this becomes this?
Yeah, so what happens is we have a solvent. It's quite sustainable. It's bio-based, so you can use it for almost anything. You can wear it afterwards. This part in the skin, you can do food
So it's fine for me to...
Yeah.
Perfect,
So no harm about the solvent. And then the solvent gets heated, and the vapor of the solvent will smooth the part in the end.
Oh, I see. I know that we also have Polymaker makes a material that it's PVB based, and so it like an isopropyl alcohol mist can smooth the part. But I would imagine with polypropylene parts, it's a much different process to get that done.
Not too much different, actually.
The chemicals behind it are different. I misspoke there a little bit. It's really cool to see because I know a lot of companies and industries love the powder bed prints because the detail you can get, and I mean, I could throw this at David and hit him really hard and it wouldn't break, right?
No, it wouldn't. Let's try it.
Ow. Oh my God. But for something like this is end use. This is a product.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, granted, that looks cool if you're going for that look, but just as an example, someone could make a chest set from a powder bed printer, apply your process to it, and have themselves final chest pieces.
That's true, and it would even be ready to use after you spit some water on it in comparison to this. But I have more presents for you.
Well, you've got more stuff. This is exciting.
Course. So my team just finished that for you.
Oh, would you look at that?
Oh. Actually, we recognize we have no numbers, but I think it's still working.
This is the long form version of my name. Okay, Pia, can you tell? Okay, probably one of the coolest things that I've seen at the show, hands down, honestly, right? But so each of these letters have been colored and finished using the DyeMansion process.
Yeah, that's true.
And this piece actually that holds everything together is also 3D printed.
It's also printed as well. Yeah.
How did you guys do this?
So this one is finished with another technology. It's called polyshot surfacing.
Polyshot.
So this is more mechanical, like this one. And what we do is we shoot like small plastic beads on the parts.
How small?
Pretty small.
Okay,
like
really small.
200 micro.
Really
like,
small.
It's really small. Yeah. And what happens is that those rough surfaces, they get really homogeneous. They get a nice gloss. And they get quite scratch resistant, so you can try to scratch this.
It really feels different. It has a different. So what material is this?
This is a PA12.
Oh, okay. So
Polyamide,
it's
so nylon.
And it's a nylon-based material. Okay.
Yeah.
So wow, it's really interesting because when I've 3D printed nylons before, and they definitely have a specific feel and a specific texture. It's just
quite rough.
It's a little rough. It's a little, I don't know. If someone hands me a nylon printed part, I know it's a nylon printed part. With this, I don't really get that feeling.
Yeah, that's good.
And these are all PA12 little bits.
Yeah. So this is printed on HP, and this is so MJF, and this is SLS. So this was a white nylon, and this is a gray.
Oh, okay. And so then with the white nylons, obviously, you're able to color the white nylons, any color that you
almost,
want.
Yeah.
And then with the grays, then, are you still able to do the same coloring, or is it limited? Because you specifically said this one was gray, and now it's black, and so I'm wondering if is there a specific way, what's the way to say this? Is it specific in the colors available depending on the colors that come out of the bed?
That's a good question, actually. So we have a, let's say, limited color line for gray-based materials. We can still achieve colors, even pink or grayish colors. You can check them out on our booth. I think I don't have I have this.
I like this. This is cool.
So this, for example, is also a gray-based material from Stratasys, from their new SAF technology. Quite similar to what HP is doing. And this was gray as well.
Oh, may I?
So
it's so heavy. It's so heavy.
It's massive, right?
So obviously this is like a wire harness sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I think originally it's the size, it's an automotive connector, and just a big gesture of our new partnership with Stratasys.
But you made it bigger.
Yes, I think it's the whole build job of their new printer.
Oh, I would bet.
Yeah.
So then, like you were saying, so these are the same materials.
Yes.
In fact,
it looked exactly the same.
This was the same gray as this, right?
Yeah, it was.
And so your process is able to give it this color.
Yes, that's
and this
correct.
finish. I guess it feels a little different, just a little bit.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah.
But you can see it as well, so that's the most important thing.
Oh, you have dislodged it. Okay, so let's see if we can pull this up. Oh. Wow. This is really cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of large prints, and I won't lie. But it's really neat to see such cool technology that takes things that are printed and then makes them end use. Because that's almost like a holy grail for consumer-based 3D printing.
Yeah.
Like me and my friends, if we're printing something, a lot of people say, oh, you have to sand it and paint it and finish it. And
by
I'm just
hand,
like,
probably, yeah.
ugh, right? But for you guys, on the industrial side and the professional side, then, those parts that I would be hand sanding and painting, you actually just have machines and a process that can take it to end use. That's pretty cool. How did you get started in all this, Pia?
Me personally, or DyeMansion?
Yeah. Was there something when you were a small child? Was there a spark in your eye for some sort of technology, or did you find bright palettes of colors intriguing, or was there something that you remember that took you towards your current career path?
Actually, no. I'm sorry. But it was my friends, actually. So after my studies, I started working at BMW and had this corporate job, which I was super proud of.
Wow.
And then my childhood friends, Felix and Philip, our founders, they called me, I think it was half a year ago after they founded the company. And they said, hey, we have our first product, the coloring machine. We do 3D printing. Can you join us and do some marketing with us? And I had no idea at all what 3D printing is. So after the call, I thought, why not joining a startup with my best friends? And I watched this Netflix documentary about 3D printing. How's it called again? Print the Legend?
Oh, yeah. Print the Legend, that's right.
And then I got really excited, and then so it was the other way around. I joined the startup, and then I got excited about the technology. But now, 6 years later, I love it.
That's really cool. One of the things I find fascinating about that story is that your friends were able to lure you away from a corporate BMW job. You must love your friends.
My mom hated them.
I would imagine your mom had some choice words to say to you. But part of what I like to do is just find how inspiration drives people into the careers that they are in. And it wasn't necessarily something that caught your eye with this. You were inspired by your friends who had a cool idea, and you thought, you know what, I'm going to go check that out. And then through some studies, you are now, I would imagine, one of, if not, who else is doing anything like this? You are a market leader, right?
We are. So when it comes to delivering a full post-processing chain, we are the only company out there.
It's amazing.
Of course, there are some other companies that provide coloring only or finishing, or that build blasters. But this end-to-end process, like we call it the print-to-product workflow, we are the only ones.
The print-product workflow. That's a great name for it. You are, so obviously, your accent, you are from Germany, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so then was DyeMansion started in Germany?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so most of us were born and raised in Munich, and this is where we located in. Let's say in the suburbs, because you couldn't afford having a production plant in Munich, actually.
That makes sense.
And that's where our headquarters is.
Okay.
But we have a facility in Austin as well now.
That's right.
Since 2 years.
I think when we talked in 2019, just after that, we had talked about, I think, in emails or something, you know, coming to visit your facility in Austin when it's built. So it's done.
It's built. I've seen it with my own eyes. After 2 years, I've been there last week for the first time, and it looks really cool. We have all the machines there. We can make cartridges. We can mix all the dyes there. We have nice conference rooms, and we have people there. That's the most important thing.
I would imagine.
We have 11 people now, most of them Americans, working for us. That's quite nice.
I would imagine that 11 is going to grow in the future as business picks up, because you wouldn't have needed a second location unless you needed a lot more, abilities to be able to serve all the people that want to come to you. So then that kind of leads me into careers at DyeMansion. Let's say someone gets inspired by seeing you talk here, or visiting your booth, or learning more about DyeMansion. What should they study, or what should they be interested in? How could they find themselves working at DyeMansion?
So I mean, it always depends on the field they want to work with. But when they want to do some things in our R&D department, for example, they should study chemistry, or mechanical engineering, stuff like that.
Oh, material sciences, mechanical engineering, all that sort of fun stuff.
So that's interesting. And then, of course, the marketing side of it, the sales side of it, the service side of it. So we're growing in all those fields.
That's cool. What has been your favorite thing that you've seen here at RAPID? Now, I know you're at your booth, and I know you're crazy busy, but has there been something that you've seen or heard about that sort of sparked your interest and you were excited to go take a look at?
What was it? Actually, I didn't leave our booth too much, which is really sad. The margarita I had yesterday was quite nice.
You know what? That is a valid answer, Pia. That is amazing.
To be honest with you, it was the best thing of my day. But I will.
That's the best answer ever. I mean, honestly.
Tomorrow, and I'm really excited. I always do this on the last day, when all the visitors are gone, and then that's my time to experience the other booths.
It's like an industry night here. If you have a booth, you get to walk around and see cool stuff. This is so cool. Is there is there something neat about this process that no one knows, or that not a lot of people know, and it would be really cool to find out? Like what is perhaps what is the largest part? What is the, like, is there a cool color that you made, or? I'm not trying to give you a trick question. I just thought it might be interesting to find out, like, was there anything, was there something you finished or colored that you were like, wow?
There's one thing, and it gets to my mind when I look at this, because this is a violet color, and we used that for quite some time, I think for 2 or 3 years. And then for an exhibition, we had some black light, and we turned the black light on, and there was this violet part, and then it glue.
Really?
So this glows in the dark.
Okay.
And I know that this applies to our white pigments and our white color, but I didn't know it was for violet as well.
That's
so
kinda neat.
that's actually pretty cool.
Okay, that is kind of cool.
If you would ever have a black light and a violet part from us, it looks quite fancy.
Do you have a black light at your?
Unfortunately,
No?
I don't. With me,
Hey, this has been a lot of fun. I got the wrap-up signal because I know you've got other stuff to tend to. But Pia, this has been amazing.
It
I
was
want to
so
shake
good
your
seeing
hand
you.
because it was really, really great to see you. And I want to thank you for putting up with the technical issues and still sticking around to have a really
Sure.
fun conversation.
It was a pleasure.
So if people want to know more, obviously, DyeMansion.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's awesome. Hey, everybody, thank you. Thank Pia. Thank Pia for coming by. I was letting people know that Pia, I was thinking, no, we're not wrapping up. We got way more stuff to talk about. Jeez, look at that. We got the wrap-up signal, right? Yeah, Pia's got stuff to do, right? Yeah, okay, I was correct.
Okay.
Thank you,
See
Pia.
you later. Maybe we have a margarita together.
I'm not
later.
against that.
I leave that with you. Cheers.
Really? I do
Of
get
course.
this? Aw, thank you. Well, that was Pia Harlaß, and Pia's from DyeMansion. Like I said earlier, you've seen her on the channel before, and it was during Form Next 2019. And she's just a joy to talk to. And the DyeMansion, being able to do this stuff, it's amazing. It's such a joy to see finished parts from a 3D printer that are automatically done. So we don't have to. It's not sanding for days and paint. I know lots of people out there are able to sand prints and make them look amazing, but having it be automatic, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna take a look at the chat here. Andrew Rogers with a 20. Geez, Andrew, for the Frosty Beverage and/or Chicago Dog Fund. I'm gonna need that. That's really kind of you, Andrew. Thank you so much. I will put that to good use. Gustavo Rezende, she is lovely. That is true. Pia is a lovely human and a joy to hang out with, and I really hope more people get the chance to meet her, because that would just be cool. That'd be really cool. We're actually preparing our next guest, and I can't wait for you to meet her. Big Jano, deep dish pizza. We had some pizza earlier. It wasn't deep dish proper, but it was close to where we were, and it was tasty. Sportluck, where's SJ? We found SJ, and we got to see the Siemens stuff, and it was fantastic. Tripod's Garage with a $5. Yes to the Frosty Beverage Fund, along with a slice of deep dish pizza. Oh. RC Manic, you're preparing the guest. We have another guest. That's right. We have another guest. That's for our guest.
I'm not the guest.
Yes.
No one wants me on camera.
Are we set? Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Do you want me to say from? Well, here we'll just do it. It's live, so this will be fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna welcome Kristin to the stage.
Hey, how
you doing?
Kristin. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
You work for, I'm going to say the name wrong, right? Because I'm going to say Dyndrite.
Nope.
But it's Dyndrite.
Dyndrite, yeah.
Dyndrite, okay. But you're also on the board for Women in 3D Printing.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think between those two things, I would love to talk about both of them.
Okay.
Can we start first with Dyndrite?
Sure.
So Dyndrite is a company in Seattle, near me, and we've never done anything collaborative yet.
Yeah.
I think we should change that.
I think so.
I think we should. But tell me about Dyndrite. What does Dyndrite do?
So Dyndrite is essentially creates a kernel. So it's the platform, and the way I describe it is it's essentially a foundation that you build your software on top of. So what it does is it accelerates your software development by like 2 to 5 years. So it's a GPU accelerated engine.
Okay.
So it makes things, so it's essentially it's fast. It's very, very fast. and so you could build, so instead of hiring a 30-person software team and spending 2 to 3 years building your software, you start with this, and then you're already several steps ahead.
Oh, okay. So now with software, if you say software, this sounds somewhat generic, and I know we're at an additive show, and so how does this accelerate additive software?
So it's all for the stuff on the front end. So like right now, the best example we have right now that's public is HP. So HP has something called the Universal Build Manager.
Okay.
And so they used our engine to create the Universal Build Manager. So essentially it's build, whatchamacallit? God, I can't totally brain dead. So essentially it's your build prep software. So
Okay.
you can do a lot of things with it you can't do with other things. So like, for example, it'll slice things a lot faster, that sort of thing. But
Okay.
we're releasing some new APIs soon that will really facilitate printing without supports, that kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very
so,
cool.
And so it's a kernel.
Yes.
Like you said, and which allows people to build software on top of.
Yes.
And that software for managing printers and print processes and slicing, and it just accelerates it.
To be brutally honest, I'm pretty new at Dyndrite, and I'm not a software person. I'm actually a materials science person. So it's kind of funny that I'm actually at Dyndrite. But any much more detail, I'm still learning myself.
Well, so my experience is I was a software developer for Adobe.
Oh, okay.
And
so that's perfect. So we are essentially for 3D printing what Adobe PostScript was for 2D printing.
that makes a lot of sense.
That
I understand
is the simplest answer to what Dyndrite is. Right
Well,
there.
well, I worked on the After Effects team
Okay.
on GPU acceleration.
Okay.
And so I understand how handing something off to the GPU to do something math intensive can give you a great speed up.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what Dyndrite's doing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
exactly.
fantastic. Okay, so you said it's with HP.
Well,
For that-
HP's like our first target. This is mine. Great.
Oh, yeah.
HP's our first public example because essentially because it's where the foundation. There's so many different things you could do with it. So we're talking to a lot of the printer manufacturers. We're talking to some of the software people. We're talking to end users because what the platform does is it helps create automation. So we're actually doing this event in October where we're going to go through all of that. It's with Carbon and SLM and Divergent.
Oh.
So we're working with
wow.
Divergent, and it's a lot on automating all of the process. Because Divergent, has got this Zinger C21, I think. It's a hypercar. It's like a $2+ million hypercar. It just beat the McLaren on the like the fastest car or something. I'm not. A car
I'm not
person.
following, but that sounds
anyways,
amazing.
But it's like 95% 3D printed. This car.
Oh, really?
And so that's what it kind of came out of what Divergent's trying to do in terms of automating the 3D printing production system. So instead of they're trying to kind of disrupt the automotive how cars are made essentially, and they're creating this automated system that utilizes 3D printing to hopefully drive more serial production in automotive. And they're using, we're working with them right now on helping them with that process.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Being able to speed up. I would imagine within the world of additive, additive already is itself disrupting a standard manufacturing industry process, or the standard manufacturing industry processes because, less parts, less weight, faster design, but still, there's always ways to improve, and it sounds like with what Dyndrite's doing, they are empowering the software that is powering all of this additive hardware.
And that's the thing. What we're about, and what I'm specifically passionate about, is making serial production a reality. So right now, I mean, obviously the 3D printing industry started with prototyping and all of that, and we're still, the volumes we can do are still not that large, really, in the grand scheme of things. Some binder jetting technologies can do like 50,000 parts, right?
Yeah.
And that's not really that much, especially if you're looking at automotive.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So there's not
true.
a lot. So what we are really about is driving automation and integration to accelerate serial production with additive manufacturing.
You said this is your passion.
Well, I mean, that's
Passion
what it's
for it.
about. I mean, I'm very passionate about 3D printing. So, and so, I want it to be a widely accepted, real manufacturing process. And right now it's still on the cusp of being that. It's really only for specialty kind of things.
Okay. Well then, if I were to poke your brain and say, then where do you see Dyndrite and software in 5 years? What's your outlook there?
I got to think about that one.
It's a fun question to
That's a
think
good
about, though,
question.
right? Because I mean, we're going to assume that Dyndrite has conquered.
Yeah. Well,
everything.
I mean, the ultimate goal is that what we are doing is going to facilitate the machines running headlessly. So essentially, what in theory you could do is, if you wanted a part printed, you could submit it online at a service bureau, and there's not a single person, no person ever touches it. It just goes headlessly through the system into the printer. The build prep is already done automatically. Everything's done automatically and comes out the other end without a person touching it. Right now, it touches like 6 different people to get to that point.
Right.
And you have to do all the build prep, and you have to put all the supports on, and you have to do it. There's a lot of manual processes that really are totally unnecessary if you can get the right software.
Sure.
So that's really what our goal is to create headless production systems.
Well, I think, and because I deal with a lot of consumer-based 3D printing, a lot of times what we think about is, we have various slicers that can slice models into and then produce G-code.
Yeah.
And support generation is a button that we hit. There's no such thing as build prep. There's, the machine is just, we put our build plate additive on or whatever, and then we put the SD card in, we hit go, or there's ways of doing wireless. So then, could you talk a little bit about what build prep is, or why support generation being automatic is a big thing?
So, let me see. So build prep is really, it's the process of, you have a drawing, you have a part, and you have to put it into the system, and often you'll have to, for starters, it's typically an STL file, which we work with native CAD files. So that gives you a big, that gets rid of one step already. You get rid of all the triangles.
So we don't have to. We can hand you
any kind of native CAD file,
AutoCAD files or Onshape files or Fusion files, or
any file. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a step file or a STL file. That's a first big step. And because STL files, I mean, there's certain companies out there, one in particular, that's trying to convince, tries to convince everyone that STLs are a good thing. But it's because they created it. And so of course
yep.
Of course they're going to say that. But it doesn't make any sense when you could look at surfaces instead of triangles.
Right.
And so
right.
That's
Exactly.
part of the thing. Because we can handle native CAD files, there's a lot of things you can do by identifying the surfaces automatically for support creation and that sort of thing.
Okay. So then in your world, support generation, like for me, for many others, right, on the consumer side, it is a button, and you define overhang angles, and the pillar size that supports R, or the type, and then it just goes and it automatically adds them, or you can place them.
Yeah.
But in the world of the machines that you're dealing with, it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things that's really big about Dyndrite is it's Python integration. So.
That's automation right there, right?
Yeah. So what happens is you can go in through the GUI and you can do all these things. You create all supports. You had to do all these things. But then once you've created that recipe, essentially you can. This is something you don't have to do. You don't have to be a Python expert. But if you want, and you do know what you're doing with Python, and you want to automate this process, essentially whatever you do in that GUI will then automatically be translated into a Python script. So then you can go back in, and if you want 6 parts instead of 1 part, you just change that one number.
Yeah.
Or you can also because you've set all these rules, you could even put in a different part because the rules are still all the same, and it'll automatically generate the slicing, the files, the slices, and everything.
So this is almost like a scripting language for additive.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big part of it, but I always don't bring it up first because I find people kind of go, oh, Python. I don't know Python, so I'm done. And it's like, I mean, again, I'm a material scientist. Even I can work with Python. It's meant for people who are not computer experts.
Right. It's easy enough to pick up,
Yeah.
especially if you have a problem that needs Python to fix, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And you only need one person, really,
Yeah.
in your organization to be able to use Python to be able to make it work.
How did you get into this? Like you said, material science is
Yeah,
your thing. So
it's weird, isn't it?
It's not any weird. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be weird if you said you were like a high-end 5-star chef and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm going to get into additive. It's like,
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds great. But I mean, as a material scientist, in the material sciences,
Yeah.
there's a lot of room for someone to want to work in additive just because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all about the materials,
huge,
right?
yeah.
But
Which is awesome. Like when I got my material science degree, no one even knew what material science was, and now it's like it's so huge and it's so important for people to know.
I would say it's huge. It's because the future of additive is in the materials itself.
Exactly. It's the only way you're going to actually get things, again, getting into mainstream manufacturing. Because right now the materials are too expensive, or there's not, we don't have a big enough selection, that kind of thing. I mean, the materials are really critical.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't work in materials.
I
You work
don't.
in software.
Yeah, so I got into the software side of things because, well, a few things. Like I always like to say it's my last frontier. Because when I got into additive manufacturing, I joined, which makes more sense, I was the chief commercial officer at a company that makes the metal powders for metal printing.
Okay.
Exclusively. And so that was a more obvious transition when I joined that company. And when I joined, it was in the summer, and like only a couple months afterwards, I went to my very first Form Next, and I was like,
that?
I'm sold. I was like, it was literally, I'd only been at this company for like 2 months. It was in the UK. I just moved to the UK, and it was I knew immediately once I went to that Form Next that I was never going to leave this industry. Like I was in it, And so I worked for this company for a bit, and then after that I had to come back to the States, and so I took a job with Thermo Fisher, where I was responsible for getting their analytical equipment, their SEMs, into the additive space.
Okay.
So they recognized that the additive industry was a really big prospect for them, and so they needed someone to come in that knew it. So I was like kind of like a subject matter expert in the company. And then after that, so I did the materials, then I did the analytical equipment, and then after that I went to HP and worked on both their metal and plastics printers. And so I got exposed to that. That's the first time I started working on plastics 3D printing. So I moved over to the MJF when I was at the end of my time there. And then at that point, I realized my whole goal in life, or what I've always really liked, is being an entrepreneur and working for small companies and building small companies. And now all of a sudden I'm at HP. And I'm like, holy crap, what have I done? This is not where I want to be. So I left, and at that point I had been in so many different parts of the industry that I was able to then start my own consulting business. So I had my own consulting business for a couple years, focusing exclusively on additive and 3D printing. And so
with a materials background.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then when I did that, my network and my knowledge and everything just exploded, because then I worked with everybody in the industry. I worked with service bureaus, and I worked with nonprofits, I worked with plastics, metals, I even worked with ceramics, because that's my undergraduate degree is in ceramics. So I actually worked with ceramics, and that's why I refer to Dyndrite as my last frontier, because the only part of the industry I'd never worked in was software. So I knew
I guess it makes sense then.
Yeah.
To be, okay.
And I like, it's kind of cool. I've kind of like rounded out the whole thing, and
Right.
I knew these guys from just doing, just the industry. It's a small industry, and they essentially wanted someone to come in and essentially be like an evangelist within Dyndrite and get the word out, because a lot of people don't know what Dyndrite is or heard of it. So that's kind of my role.
Well, it's not the easiest thing. Software is not the easiest thing to explain to people.
No, and especially Dyndrite, and that was my goal when I joined, is I'm determined, within a year, everyone's going to understand what Dyndrite is. Because, no one gets it. No one gets it. Only like a very few people. So my goal is to get out there and make it more accessible, really.
So Dyndrite being software-based in trying to aid in automation, is there something in Dyndrite that would filter its way down into like prosumer level, or people that because I know a number of people that have themselves their own print farms, but they're not HP machines. They're
we're
Prusa
really
machines.
about scaling for production. So it's really only for if you're doing high volume type stuff. But I'd have to think about that. That's a good question. It's a really good question. I don't know. The way it would be is probably more from the side, like because of our automation and what we're driving with the machine builders, we're giving the machine builders the ability to develop materials faster. that kind of thing. So I think that might be one of the ways in terms of it's going to facilitate the availability of more and more materials.
Okay.
Is the end game.
That's just cool to think about. Really. That's really cool to think about.
Awesome.
Well, Kristin, you're also you're a part of Women in 3D Printing.
Yes.
And I don't mean you are a woman in 3D
Yes.
printing. I mean there is a group, a consortium.
Yeah. So Women in 3D Printing is actually a huge organization. It's grown from, I've been with it for a few years, and it was started by a woman named Nora Toure like 5 years ago, and it was just a blog at the beginning. But now it is, I gotta get the numbers right, I think now we have over 23,000 women and men
23,000.
Yeah, and it's, and we're in over 75 countries, on all six continents, primary continents, and yeah, so it's a big organization now, and we don't exclude. That's really important.
Well, you just mentioned 23,000 women and men.
Yeah, because I mean, really, it's an organization to kind of give more visibility to women in 3D printing for starters. So the only thing we do that's only women is we actually have our own conference, and the speakers can only be women at the conference. But other than that, it's very much we encourage men, non-binary, whatever, come to all of our events. And honestly, most of the events you see it's about half men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they recognize it's a really good networking opportunity.
It sounds like it's a fantastic networking
it's a really good networking opportunity.
So then, what has been some of your favorite experiences as being a part of Women in 3D Printing? Does anything stand out over the last couple of years?
It's really about the community. I think is a big one. I mean, obviously it's expanded my network huge.
I would imagine.
I know someone. I have a connection in one way or another in every single, but most all of the companies. Because of either stuff I've done by being on the board or through this conference that we do.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so the conference has been big in terms of getting to know, because the conference we got to bring in, so we had our first conference in January, and that one had about almost 2,000 attendees. We did it virtual, which was actually kind of, by dumb luck, turned out to be great. Like originally it was going to be a live event, but COVID, all that. Yeah. So it was great though, because we ended up getting 150 speakers, female speakers from all over the world. Like one of the women that was on my track, it was fascinating. She was in Egypt, and she was talking about how she was studying insects. She was an architecture student, and she was studying insects to be able to see how they build their homes, so she could replicate that in construction using 3D printing.
That's an amazing thing to study.
It was so cool. But there was so we had all these different stories from all over the world, from all these people, and we would never have been able to do that if it wasn't virtual. So we're going to keep it virtual. The plan is to keep it virtual, and then every 5 years do a live event.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
We should be okay by the next time it...
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, if we're not, I mean, holy cow. Hopefully. Yeah.
I've heard that the Women in 3D Printing meetup has been moved to here.
It's in here,
right?
in this exact space.
Like probably like an hour or so.
Yeah, we've
right?
got like 500 people signed up, so I don't know how they're gonna fit, but
500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's quite cool. I mean, it's definitely, like I said, it's really exploded in the last year or two. We only had I said we were in 75 chapters. We only had 25 a year ago. So it's really.
Do you think the events that have happened in the last year or two have accelerated the growth? With people
somewhat,
being
so one of the things
downtime,
that's happened with me
essentially?
in the last, since COVID started is I was the ambassador for the Portland chapter. As well as being on the board.
Yeah.
And so since we couldn't do live events anymore, which essentially consist of mostly happy hours and that kind of thing.
Sure. Networking opportunities.
Happy hours are great. And since we couldn't do those anymore, I started doing this series of virtual panels online, and each one was focused on a different topic.
Oh,
and all of the participants in the panels, of course, they're all women. And the first one we did was leadership, so I got some C-suite women from around the world to
awesome.
Participate. And we did it on this platform called Remo. And if you haven't done Remo, it's very cool. It facilitates networking. And when I first heard of it, I was like, networking online, no, that's stupid. That's not gonna work.
Green what?
Remo.
Gremo.
R-E-M-O.
Oh, Remo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a platform, and so instead of doing Zoom or something like that, you go in and it lays out kind of like this, like a floor, and you can network, and you can hop from table to table and talk to whoever, and so a lot of people, we got to know a lot of people on that. And it's been really surreal for me, because I led all of these panels and created them all, and I did one mostly every month, once a month. And we'd get several hundred people again sign up for these, but because it's virtual, I never saw them, but they all saw me. So then now I'm coming to these things, and I have all these people that are like, "Hey, they know me," and I'm like, "I have no idea who you are." It's really funny, but again, it's been able to really grow my network, and it's not just me; it's everybody. Everyone who attends those events, we all got to know each other, and there's so many people here who I consider really good friends, like really good friends, that I have met through these online events.
That's really
and
cool.
Today is the first time I've met them in person. It's a trip.
I've heard from a lot of people that this event, specifically this event right now, a lot of people are like, this is the first time that they've been out to be able to.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of people meeting in real life for the first time because
Totally.
so much there are people who've started new careers that have never set foot in an office space.
Yeah.
And so
the first time I ever met my boss was yesterday. It's awesome, isn't it?
That's
I love
fantastic.
It. Yeah.
It's been a fun event. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, because I've asked a lot of people here, and the answers have been very one-sided.
Okay.
Do you have a 3D printer at home?
I do. I have a very small one.
Yes.
I haven't built it yet, though.
I dropped my water. Oh wait.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
So you have one, but it's not.
It's not built yet.
It's not built yet.
No.
Can you say what it is?
No. So
What?
yes. So it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing, and that's why I've gotten one, but I haven't got it set up.
Where are you based out of?
Portland.
Oh, okay. So you're
Yeah.
down south from Seattle.
Yeah.
And Dyndrite is Seattle-based, and so I would imagine.
Dyndrite's got an office in Seattle, but we're going to be virtual for the foreseeable future. Again, software. I mean, you don't need to be there.
No, you don't need to be there.
So we have me in Oregon, and then we have a couple people in Portland, a couple people in the Bay Area, and then an office in North Carolina as well.
Oh, okay. East Coast. Wow.
Yeah.
Really far away. But
Yeah.
like you said, it's software. Everybody just writes their code.
I mean, when I first moved to the UK the first time, I still managed a team, and this was before we had even these capabilities. But I lived in the UK and I managed a team that was in LA. I mean, it doesn't. You don't need. I'm a very strong proponent of virtual working for sure.
I think it seems to be, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be there's a dividing line between I love working from home, this is great, and I need to go back to an office as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're of the camp where,
I'm very much in the virtual side of things.
Yeah.
I like it. I get up early, I start working early, I work a little bit late, and I take the middle of the day for me and I go for a run. I can't do that if I had to drive 30 minutes or an hour into the office, and I get so much more done. Yeah.
I would imagine, especially with software, and plus with being able to do the virtual events with women in 3D printing, then everything just syncs up right there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
How does so with you being material sciences?
Yeah.
What do you think is holding the industry back right now that material sciences will be the solution for?
I mean, it's the cost of the raw materials.
Purely, just cost
I
of
think is a
the.
big one. I mean, it's the cost
the
of the
powders
cost of
and the
raw
pellets
materials
and-
and the availability of a wide variety of materials. Especially when you're looking at metals. There's not a lot of metals that can be 3D printed at this point.
Well,
There
we
needs
got
to be a lot of
stainless and
alloy
titanium
development.
and-
and aluminum and Inconel, cobalt chrome. Those are the primary ones.
Okay.
But there needs to be a lot more alloy development. I know a woman from Women 3D Printing. She works on the refractory metals, which is interesting in itself, like tungsten and things like that.
Oh, are we getting there?
We are. And then you got precious metals for some stuff as well, but it's primarily just those major primary ones.
So for metals, okay, so obviously
But like aluminum, you can't print pure aluminum, right? So you can only use like aluminum alloys.
Why is that?
It's something to do with it's the laser. You can do it, I think, with a green laser, but it's something to do with the laser power.
Oh, so it
cracks.
Is it the temperature that's created when the laser hits the material?
Yeah, the parts crack if
Oh.
you with pure aluminum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you have to use, like, the most common one's aluminum, silicon, magnesium, AL something or other, SI10MG or something. I can't remember.
Were you doing your periodic table?
Actually, it's funny, the company I worked for before I joined LPW, which is Carpenter Additive, the first company I was in, that was exactly what we did. We sold the elements of the periodic table, essentially. The website was just the periodic table. So it's funny.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay,
yeah,
that's kind of
seriously.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we sold anything that was inorganic, essentially. So
Oh, okay.
aluminum nanoparticles or high purity, titanium oxide.
So you
whatever.
weren't selling. You were selling
The materials.
Materials, and not
Yeah.
necessarily for additive.
No,
This was
and
just
pretty much
like
primarily
professors or
Primary-
education or.
Well, no, it was all over the board. I mean, one of my biggest customers was DuPont. You
Really?
know, they used, or we did a bunch for like, we sold a lot of rare earths, which went into a lot of things. And so
Okay.
you had, or catalytic converters, or
For
we
industry.
sold into everything. Industry.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh, that's kind of interesting, though.
Yeah, it was a fun company. It was good. It was I joined and I was the third employee. Well, I was the second employee, I guess, next to the owner. And we grew it over a period of 9 years to a pretty big company. So it was a good one.
Oh, geez. Okay,
Yeah.
so and that seems like pure material science. Like
That was
like,
pure material science.
Like you were
Yeah.
in your zone.
I always used to joke I was the only person that literally did what I studied in college. I mean, very few people actually do what they.
That. And we might be back up. I think we had an internet blip, and I had to reset something.
Technology,
I'm
I
sorry.
tell ya.
Boy, technology, right?
It's not like we're at a technological conference.
See, no, this is the conference. This is the conference where this is the conference where you have a problem with your printer, right? This is the conference where, oh crap, my printer went down, and then you've got just people from all over and be like, how can we help? What can we do?
Yeah.
We've got the stuff, right?
Yeah.
No, like a stream going down should be one of those things where we're at like an IT, a tech show, like
fair
CES,
enough. Fair
right?
enough. Yeah, fair enough. How terrible that would be pretty funny if it actually went down at CES.
I've been to have you been to CES?
I have not. I really want to go. I was going to go. I think, and then COVID happened.
Oh.
One of those ones. I can't remember. But
In
yeah,
the before
I
time.
definitely want to go for sure.
In the before, yeah.
I think it'll be pretty intense. I mean, it's supposed to be just massive.
It is at its height, at least before COVID and whatnot.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it was like a mile
Yeah.
in 4 different buildings and having
Well,
to
that's
walk
what
in between.
Formnex was. The last Formnex was like that. The last Formnex I think had like 30,000 people, and
It was huge.
I mean, it was overwhelming. Like it was impossible to get around to all the booths.
It was a bit too much.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I thought so too.
I
And even
thought-
AMUG. AMUG's
No.
a great one. AMUG's the best.
I just wanted to say, I watch your stuff.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's good stuff.
Thank
Keep
you.
it going.
Can't hear that too often.
Every once in a while, someone
Yeah,
likes
yeah.
to say the stuff. Well, I heard that we're short on time,
Okay.
and so we do need to wrap it up.
Okay.
But this has been a joy,
This has been
Kristin.
awesome. I love
this
it.
has been
Yeah,
a lot
this
of
has
fun.
been really
I just
awesome. Thank
It's
you.
been a joy
Yeah.
meeting you,
Yeah,
and
thanks. We're not supposed to shake, but I'm so over it.
we have lots of hand sanitizer
Okay.
and wipes, and
Yeah.
I'm the cleanest I've ever been, I think.
Good to know.
But listen, congrats on your success.
Cool.
I look forward to doing something really incredible with Dyndrite, I mean. And I look forward to hopefully doing some fun interactions with the Women in 3D Printing organization. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot
for
there,
sure.
and I would really love to have.
You're gonna come to the happy hour.
That's the goal. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
cool.
We'll do
Awesome.
that.
Awesome.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
See you later, Kristin.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, I'm going to turn off your mic. Well, when you're shooting live, anything can happen. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just want to say, I think that we did have some issues at the beginning, but thankfully we were able to get past those, and we were able to have 2 incredible guests on the show. That was amazing. Pia from DyeMansion really got to dive deep into what they do. Kristin from Dyndrite and Women in 3D Printing got to give us the lowdown on awesome software that powers the automation behind the industrial additive process, and how cool the Women in 3D Printing organization is. I think that, Sean, where are you going, Sean? Sean's over there trying to find a trash to throw some gum in. Have a seat, man. Oh.
You're extending your microphone. You're extending.
Hey, so this is Sean. Hey, Sean.
Hi, how are you?
This has been quite a thing, hasn't it?
It's been, that's an understatement. Thank you. It's just, good Lord. Sorry about all the technical difficulties at the start. I don't.
So essentially what happened is we had some issues with our audio device and a laptop, and David ran the miracle mile back to Sean's hotel room to grab Sean's laptop so we could broadcast from it. And there's hi David.
Hi, Joel. Hi, everyone.
So it's been a thing.
Should we just sit here and just do
There we go. I'm just gonna plug in right there because that's fantastic.
wonderful? Are you on the wire?
We
Turn me on.
oh yeah, here.
Are we on the
Don't ever say that again.
Yeah, we're on the white. It'll be on 1 over there.
Huh?
1.
Yeah.
Incendium, if Sean is there, who's driving the stream? No one.
Nobody.
No one.
It's wild. It's a wild stream.
Let them know you have a producer here.
They saw you, David.
they
They
saw
know,
me.
yeah.
They
My
know you
producer,
exist.
David. David was there. We're going to wrap it up pretty quickly, but I just really wanted to say thank you, Sean. Thank you, David. I have a fantastic team, and it was proved today many times for various reasons, none of which I'm going to go into at the moment. But also, I want to thank you for joining us for these 2 incredible live streams from RAPID TCT 2021 here at McCormick Place in Chicago. It's been a joy, and not only is there stuff left today, such as the Women in 3D Printing Mixer, but there's also day 3, and we've got a lot of stuff to see. So,
Including a panel.
I
that
think
you're hosting.
I am on a panel. That's right. Tomorrow I have a panel. I have a panel.
Yeah?
Did I miss anything?
I have no idea.
I
Not
think
that
we're good.
involved in.
Oh, Sean, can you? Because you got to run the fade to black
I
button,
gotta
right?
run over there.
Okay.
Why not? You know?
Honestly, it's been a day, and it looks like I have some fun content for my Patreon audience. Did you rap? Did you just rap me? Did you?
Wait, what? Are we live?
Yes, we're live. We're live. Sean hit the wrong button. That was awesome.
That's amazing.
Okay. Well, anyway, so
Your face on screen. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're professionals.
this honestly went better than I was expecting. If you've made it this far, you're awesome. Don't forget to hug each other more. Fight for a cause you believe in. Print all the things. I'll see you over on Patreon with some cool stuff. And as always, high five. Hey, you faded to black. Wait.